This is a teaching that the Lord's trying to bring forth through us about transgenderism, the dangers of transgenderism. It's connected to plurality and its degradation into pluralism, the idea that truth is relative and that everyone can create their own truth. Acknowledging an absolute truth is not innately hateful. That's important, firstly. So this teaching is calling out that fascist extreme of transgenderism that would want to legislate and force the use of pronouns. Pluralism, in its most extreme and fascist forms, is just another form of religions, but the religion that it creates is not rooted in any kind of perennial wisdom. This teaching is really abstract and therefore probably pretty difficult to follow. I did a lot of meditation and prayer leading up to this. I've had some first and second and third drafts up to this one. Anytime I do a teaching on something that's so risky as this topic, I always want to say to you, I open up my heart for God's correction on any of these issues, but I know that the Lord is trying to speak something to me and something through us, and I've spent a lot of time in prayer and meditation on this subject. I'll just let this teaching stand as is for now in all of its incompleteness and imperfection. Hello, everybody. Full Spectrum Trav here. Let's talk about what it means to transcend the binary, non-binary, non-dual, not two. The matrix is made up of ones and zeros, offs and ons, rights and wrongs, goods and evils, and it is the matrix through which you are called to see through the binary realm. Like Neo, you are the one. Do you remember the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the book of Genesis? You might think of the matrix as tainted by that curse, the curse that made us feel like we are separate from God. When Jesus died on the cross, the veil in the temple was torn. The fabric that separated us from God was penetrated. Jesus made a way for us to see past the rigid laws of our purity systems. The law is binary. Emmanuel, God is with us. We are not separate from the great I am. That was the message that Jesus wanted us to understand. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. And when we believe that we are separate, that is what sin is. Recently, the word non-binary has been appropriated. A harmful spirit has appropriated the term non-binary, misappropriated the word non-binary, and would like to use that term for a purpose that is anti-non-binary or anti-Christ. Christ is the non-binary. He is the one who was in union with the Father. He was not separate, and he knew that, and he was trying to help us to understand that we also are not separate from the Father. The term non-binary is rooted in perennial wisdom. Perennial wisdom is that which helps us to disidentify from the idea of separateness. The idea that we are separate or two is the root of all our suffering, and that is what the resurrection of Christ is all about: unity or oneness with God, redeeming us, restoring us to our lived experience of not two-ness. Non-binary is a sacred term, and no doubt those who are participating in the misappropriation of this term are attempting to return to their sacred nature. We are all on this sacred journey. To transcend the binary is that sacred journey. One way that the binary is expressed in this matrix is in the masculine and the feminine. The masculine penetrates, the female is penetrated. The balance between masculine and feminine in this binary realm has been compromised severely. And with imbalance has come much suffering and much confusion. And it is that suffering and confusion which has made way for this harmful spirit to misappropriate the term non-binary. It is true that in spirit we are to transcend our identification with our masculine and feminine bodies. There is no male and female in the depths of Christ. However, The way the term is being used now in this misappropriation is for over-identification with the flesh. The harmful spirit is creating more confusion by further fracturing an already difficult balance to maintain between the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. Those of us who are not susceptible to this misappropriation must take responsibility for any imbalance that we have perpetuated in our masculine-feminine relationships. In other words, our prayers are largely consisting of the work that we have been doing to heal our tendency toward codependence and enmeshment in our male-female relationships. It is extremely important that we have great grace for those folks who have identified with the harmful spirit which has misappropriated the term non-binary. There is a sacred work being done here. God will use all of this for the good of all those who are called according to his purpose. The demonic spirits that have deceived so many now along these lines will, in the end, have no power to accomplish their goal, which, simply stated, is the goal of all foul spirits, and that goal is to convince us that we are separate from God. It is profoundly important that our interactions with these folks are in surrender to love. We must realize that this deception is rooted in our own inability to maintain properly balanced male-female relationships free from codependence and enmeshment. Not one of us is called to be over-identified with our flesh or our gender, and every one of us understands what it is to over-identify with ourself, to get all up in ourselves. What we are seeing now is a result of many generations of imbalance and our own over-identification with our traditional masculine-feminine roles. Many of those dear ones who have been deceived by this spirit of transgenderism are now coming to understand that there is no true freedom at the end of their transitions. Jesus is the one who offers the only true transition in the embracing of the cycle of death and rebirth that he showed us in his crucifixion, death, and resurrection. And this is the good news that we have to offer. Do not try to fix these folks who have identified with this spirit of our times. And above all, do not shame or belittle them. This will only make things worse. The only course is love and acceptance. We can offer those who are disillusioned with their transition hope through Christ. Their sin is not distinguishable from our sin. We are all one in Christ, identified with him in both his crucifixion and his rebirth. We must know that we are seated with Christ in heavenly places. We must offer love and acceptance. We must offer the possibility of rebirth. We are born out of the flesh and into the Spirit. Many who are now disillusioned by the false transition offered by transgenderism will be coming to Christ. They will have much to teach us and share with us as they are redeemed. Offer as much love as you have. Do not judge, do not other. Let God do his work in them. Remember, the root of all our suffering, the core of our sin, is that we believe ourselves to be separate from God and separate from one another. The sin of our generation and the sin of the next are indistinguishable in God's eyes. And if we add judgment to sin, we all suffer more deeply. Love your enemies, pray for those who hurt you, bless those who curse you.